Today, a tense exchange at a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing. Secretary of State Antony Blinken defended the State Department for withholding a letter of dissent by diplomats who opposed the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan.
I read every dissent channel cable that I get. I respond to every dissent channel cable that I get. And we factor into our thinking what we hear from colleagues who have a different view. By our regulations, these cables may only be shared with senior officials in the department.
Ambassador Boyott is emphatic about the need for the State Department to produce dissent channel cables. And in a statement he provided to the committee, he says that any claim providing by them to Congress that would have a chilling effect, as your staff has claimed, is, and I quote him directly, bull.
Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Texas Republican Congressman Michael McCaul joins me. Good evening, sir. And I'm going to go right directly to those dissent channel cables. Are they protected by any type of privilege, like executive privilege or anything else?
Great question, Greta. I can tell you're an attorney. The answer is no. Man, I've told the State Department that. I'm a federal prosecutor. There's no executive privilege here. It's just the practice of the department. And it's interesting, they referenced this 1979 cable with Kissinger as the authority for not producing this. And you heard what that ambassador, how he reported it, not in my words, but in his. And he says, you know, it goes on to say that Congress and the American people deserve to know the truth. And we do. 23 embassy employees were sending a very extraordinary dissenting cable disagreeing with the policy of the administration. These are the employees on the ground in Kabul, not the bureaucrats sitting in Washington. And I think we need to see that for the veterans, for the Gold Star mothers, as well. And also for, our Marine Sergeant Tyler Vargas Anderson, who was, lost his lens because of the suicide bomber. We had the mother of a Marine Sergeant female who was blown up in that blast. And as you know from my prior interviews, they had him in their sights, and yet were never given permission to engage the suicide bomber.
All right. Well, there are two separate issues I see here. One is I would like to see them as a journalist. I also, as a citizen, transparency. But we'll set that one aside. Maybe we have to do it by a Freedom of Information Act request. The other is you, as chairman of the committee, have oversight of the State Department. Will they at least let you see them privately in a skiff or something so that at least you can perform your job?
And that's a great point. And that's why I'm giving them until Monday close of business. It is a classified document, and I've requested to see it in camera in a skiff, a classified space, so I can actually read the document without redactions, by the way, to see what their opinions, were. And this is where, they've produced other documents. This is where there's a breakdown now between me and the secretary. He wants to cooperate, but on this one, I think the American people deserve to know what these opinions were, and I'm prepared to exercise my subpoena authority. I'd prefer to have it in a cooperative agreement if they will allow me access to go into the classified setting to read the dissenting cables. I think we have this thing resolved.
Obviously we want to get every American home. We have Americans over there who want to come home. We have Americans being held by the Taliban. But there's this other class of another class of people that I don't think anyone is advocating for. That's the many Afghanistan citizens who helped our effort in Afghanistan, and yet we've left them behind. Are there going to be any efforts to try to help them?
We are. And it was a very failed plan. There was no plan of evacuation. And as a result, to your point, by putting the Taliban in charge of this evacuation, we left so many, not only American citizens behind, but as you point out, the Afghan partners. These are the interpreters, the very, partners who worked with our soldiers, and we left them behind, and our promise was, we will protect you. Now they can't trust the United States of America if we break our promise and our word. And what are they left behind in, Greta? They're left behind in the Taliban, who actually has the biometric data of all of our Afghan partners that they can readily access. And they are torturing them, and in some cases killing them. And it is an absolute disgrace.
It's terrible.
What we
Indeed
left behind in Afghanistan.
Chairman Michael McCaul, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Greta.